As a school psychologist, I've worked with a lot of teachers, and most of the teachers that I've worked with are very, very caring people that really love the kids that they work with and want the best for them. But I think that teaching is a really special and uniquely stressful job because you're responsible for sometimes upwards of 30 children who all have unique needs. And so I think for teachers especially, stress can really be an issue, especially because, depending on the environment that you're working in, you don't always have a lot of help. There are times when it can be just that one person with all those kids, and when the kids are doing well, it's usually pretty manageable, but if the kids aren't doing well, or if you're not feeling well, then sometimes it can be overwhelming. And I think teaching is an especially challenging job because of the need to sort of be on all the time, and just having to maintain that excitement and that energy and that enthusiasm that teachers really want to maintain. It takes a lot out of you. So I think teachers, even under the most ideal circumstances, can experience some issues with stress. And I think what's important is to be monitoring it on a regular basis so that it can be managed. Well, I think there's two ways that we can think about managing stress. I think there's managing our environment so that we don't become as stressed. The other thing that we need to be thinking about in terms of managing stress is coping with it when it happens, and so that's in terms of how we care for ourselves. I think when we think about self-care, I think a lot of people think about kind of longer-term health things like exercise and sleep and their diet and things like that, which are all really, really important things to be doing to take care of ourselves. But I also think sometimes when we think about self-care and talk about self-care, we also need to be thinking about those easy win, quick things that you can do to really help yourself when you're really feeling stressed and you really need that little bit of a win or help in that moment. So things like the kinds of tea that you like to drink, and taking 10 minutes a night to read something that you really want to read, or looking at People magazine if that's what you enjoy. So really looking at those kind of shorter term things that can help you to calm down in the moment and to have some time for yourself that I think is important. I think there are some people who really get their strength from being connected with others and having an active, social life within the community, and they really like engaging in those kinds of community and social kinds of activities. There are other people that those kinds of activities are just exhausting, and they really recharge from having an opportunity to be alone, to be by themselves, to be in nature, to be in the quiet. And I think understanding what your needs are in that area can be really important, because I think oftentimes we have assumptions about what we should need to take care of ourselves, and that just may or may not be what you need in that moment. I think there are other folks that really enjoy being active, and that in their active moments is when they're really able to recharge. I think there are other people that that really isn't true, and exercise is really something that they have to learn to like. But I think in our kind of new culture of wanting to emphasize health and wellness and so forth, I think people can carry around some guilt with them around, I don't really find going to the gym very helpful for me. So I think really knowing yourself and understanding what works for you, and if you try something and it isn't relaxing, try something else, because the goal is to find what works for you and not to fit some sort of ideal stress management mold. It's clear in the research that there are things that help, but it's also about finding what's helpful for you. And if you are assigning yourself self-care tasks that ultimately aren't enjoyable for you, you won't be doing them, and then you're doing nothing for self-care. So I would rather that people come to an understanding of a handful of techniques that they know work for them, and not be as concerned about whether they are the ideal or work for others.